Your new project is waiting for you in BandLab. This is a little different. Normally I ask you to go into BandLab and create a new project, but in this case I have one for you already. You'll just open up your music production class in BandLab and you'll see that there is a Watermelon Sugar project waiting for you. This is because I've already put in the guitar track that you're going to have to put the chords and bass and drums to. So you'll just click on Start Assignment and you'll make sure that you hit Teacher's Assignment. That will bring you right to this template. Now, what I've got here is a recording of me playing the guitar part for Watermelon Sugar. The chord progression is pretty basic, but it does include a new chord. So to demonstrate this chord progression, I'm just going to show you on instrument. So here's the keyboard. We're already in the right octave, and the first chord is D minor. You'll remember this was C. That is the one chord in the key of C. Watermelon Sugar is also in the key of C. Here's the D minor chord. I just moved every note up by a step. That's the very first chord you're going to need to play. The next chord is A minor, and as you know, A minor is spelled A-C-E, so you could play it like this. But that would be poor voice leading. What would be better is if you took your A minor chord like this and moved the lower two notes down a step. That's going to give you an A minor chord. Here's A, here's C, and here's E. The very next chord is C major, so all you have to do for that is move this one note down. The next chord is G. So to play that, I'm going to use this G, this D, and I need a B, but the B is going to be just below the letter Z. So I'm going to do that manually. So here I go. I'm going to go and record the chord progression for Watermelon Sugar. D minor, A minor, C, and most of that G chord. And then I'll hit stop. Now, if you didn't want to write in that, if you didn't want to play in that entire chord progression, you could just enter it in manually. You can enter in all of these notes. This is D, this is F, and this is A. That's your first chord, D minor. The next chord, notice that I kept that common tone at the beginning of measure 2. That common tone is A. This is what makes our A minor chord. A, C, and E. The next chord is C major. This is the first chord I ever showed you. C, E, and G. And finally, we have a G chord, but I wasn't able to put in the B because I didn't have enough room on my keyboard. But that's no problem. I can just manually enter in that note right here. Done. So let's listen to what that sounds like. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now all I have to do to loop this is drag this out. And this chord progression in Watermelon Sugar will continue all the way until measure 21, where we begin this riff. But anyway, my chord progression is basically done now. In the form of the song, the drums come in at measure 9. So we're going to start our drums at measure 9. And you can add drums however you want. If you want to add a drum machine, go right ahead. But make sure you don't start at the beginning. Make sure you start at measure 9. I'm going to get rid of this drum thing that they gave me. And I'm going to put in my own part. It's probably best to reference the recording here too. You're going to want to make sure that you put in something that is very similar to what you hear in Watermelon Sugar. And you're also going to want to choose a drum kit that sounds kind of like the drum kit. So do a little searching in here, find something that sounds appropriate. Let's reference the recording.
If I could ever go down, I'm just thinking
So right here, it's just a dry kick and a snare. It's kind kind of a quick kick after that. Maybe we'll go back.
I'm just thinking out.
Maybe it's more like that. So maybe that'll be our A pattern. And in the song, this begins at measure 9. So I'm going to pop this in at measure 9, right here. There. Now that's going to go until measure 17. After measure 17, the drums intensify a little bit. It's kind of the same pattern. It's got a hand clap in it as well. Let's listen to that for reference.
High, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon.
It has this extra little sound to it, this little bright sound to it. I think by adding this open hi-hat to it, this pedal hi-hat to it, we're going to get that intensified sound on beat 2 and 4 that we're looking for. So we just strengthened the backbeat there. So I'm going to put that in for the next couple measures. Add A, and then I'll just repeat it and drag that out. Okay. At measure 13, the bass comes in. So over here, I'm going to have to go to Add Track, Instruments, and I've got to pick a bass instrument. So I'm going to go in here, go to bass, and they used an electric bass on the album. Let's just reference it one more time.
Out loud, I don't know if I could ever go.
I hear long notes in the bass. So there we go. So let's start at measure 13. And at measure 13, he just played each bass note. He played D for the first chord. The next chord was A minor. The next chord was C. And the next chord was G. Individual notes. So we can write these in or we can play them in. Since I played in the first one, I'm going to write these in. I'll just go right into the MIDI editor and I'm going to start with my first note. I'm down here. I go to measure 13. This is where it begins. And I'm going to start with the note D. And I'm going to drag that out. All of measure 13 is going to be the note D. Then I've got to go in measure 14 to the note A. There's the note A. Then I have to get down to C, again for a full measure. And lastly, I play the note G. There's our bass part. That goes twice. So now I have this. There's the intense drums. And then we get to our riff section. Once you have this much done, go ahead and hit save and then hit submit. If there were any problems that you had, go ahead and notate them here. Hit submit and you're done. You can go back to Google Classroom and post your assignment under classwork. Just click the turn in button and you'll be all set. Good luck.